Hey, Chet's crew and other viewers. If anybody's been with me from the very first, or anybody who's gone back and looked at some of my older videos, you'll remember a video. It was called Handyman Video with Comedy, of course. And in that video, I was fixing our air fryer. And there's some pretty funny parts into it if anybody wants to go back and take a look at it. But I even told a story about how I got my eye crazy glued together one time. So if you want to hear about that, then go back and take a look at it if you haven't, or if you just want to hear it again, maybe. But the point of this story is that in that video, I said maybe someday I'll let you know about some of the bad experiences I've had with electricity over the years. And today is that day. So anyway, after a short break here, I'm going to be back and start telling you some of the stories about how I've had some pretty bad experiences with electricity over the years. Hey, I'm back. And this first story of problems with electricity dates back to when Annette and I had first moved out together in our first home we were renting. This is where the pizza cook-off video took place. And so anyway, it was around Christmas time, and we had this old-fashioned set of lights that was all jumbled up, the one that took the great big bulbs. And I was trying to sort them out to see which bulbs worked and which ones didn't. And I had this big old clump of lights. They were all tangled together, like I said, and they were at my feet. And I was stepping on them, and all I was really doing with it was using it as a bulb tester. So, and it was one of those strings of lights, like you didn't have to have them all in there in order to get them to come on. If anybody remembers, like some of them old sets of lights that if one went out, they all went out. So, but this wasn't one of those strings. So anyway, I was thinking in my mind, well, I only really need one socket. So why do I get this whole big string of lights all balled up at my feet without needing it? So I have the bright idea. If I just take a knife and cut the first socket off, I'll basically have myself a tester that I can just screw one bulb into, and I won't have this big tangle of lights at my feet. Well, yes, in theory that was correct. But, so, I proceeded to do it. But, one problem was, I forgot to unplug it from the wall before I went to cut it. So, yeah, anybody that knows anything about electricity knows what's coming next. So, anyway, I had grabbed just a pair knife out of the drawer, and I proceeded to haul the knife through the cord. Got through the first half, it was all right. But then when the knife made contact with both pieces of the wire, zap! It went. And it's a good thing the knife had a plastic handle onto it, because the electricity wouldn't come through the metal. But and in that old house we had it still had fuses. We didn't have breaker switches. And so anyway, the kitchen went dark, and so I had to call up my landlord and ask him where the extra fuses was. And so anyway, I got a hold of one and found a flashlight, went and replaced the fuse, and come back. And when I looked at the knife, it had arc welded a hole right in the through the blade of the knife. So anyway, yeah, so that was one of the first times that I had a bad experience with electricity. Now the second time that I had a bad experience with electricity, I actually got a pretty bad shock. So this time was when I was first had moved to Shelburne. I was renting a place in right in the town of Shelburne, and it was a mobile home, and like we live in now, but it was a little bigger. And if anybody's ever had a trailer, or lived in a trailer, that they have a oil furnace into them for the main source of heat. And we was having troubles with it at the time. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. It would go out by itself and smell oil and things. So I contacted the landlord, and he said it's probably the nozzle is dirty. He said, "Do you know how to change them?" He said, "If you do, just go down and grab one at the hardware store and put it on my account, and you can switch it out." And I said, "Well, no, I didn't, but I'm willing to learn." So he kind of explained it to me. So I opened up the door to the furnace and looked in at it, and I was pretty daunting to me because I had never really done anything with one before. So anyway, it has a big box on the top that holds the fuel igniting system, and it's basically just like two big giant spark plugs that kind of light up the mist that the nozzle creates of the fuel, so it'll start the furnace burning. And so anyway, I unclipped the little lights there and hauled the big box back, and then exposed these two big like spark plug like things that I just explained. And so I was looking all around, looking in to see where the nozzle was. And I hadn't even picked up the nozzle yet. This was just a test run to see if it was. So anyway, it was in the hallway of the trailer, so I was kind of down on my hunches, if people knows what I'm talking about by that, like down, my knees bent, and right down so I could see what was going on. And once again, I hadn't turned the power off yet. And so I laid my arm across the thing like that, not thinking, and put both arms across those ignition switches. And when I did, mister, let me tell you, it wasn't good. When I laid my arm across those to take a look in like that, the electricity instantly shot right through my arm, and it literally pretty much pressed through me, like back against the wall there in the hallway. Like, it wasn't no big thing. I didn't fly like 2 or 3 feet. I just like kind of jumped back, and my wall hit against my back hit against the wall. But it was bad. So anyway, I was telling my landlord about it, and he knows a lot about furnaces. He was actually a furnace technician in his younger days, and I was explaining to him what I had done. He said, "You done what now?" He said, "You're still alive?" He said, "Do you realize, like, the power that goes through them, there's a power converter that turns that into 10,000 volts," he said, "into those ignition switches to light that fuel." Because diesel fuel, for anybody who doesn't know, has a pretty high ignition point. So anyway, there has to be a lot of, he said it was 10,000 volts run through those ignition switches. I said, "I'm not sure what 10,000 volts means," but I said it felt pretty strong to me. But anyway, yeah, that was the second time I had some bad luck with electricity. Now this third story, this was a pretty bad one as well. In the mobile home we live in now, this is bought and paid for. It's not much, but I bought it and only got an 8-year loan taken out to buy it and pay for it. And it's been paid off now. We've been living here. My son's 20, he'll be 25 this year. We moved out here when he was about to turn 4, so we've owned the place for roughly around 21 years. And so it's been paid off for quite some time after 8 years. But anyway, we lived here probably about 5 years. And the hot water heater was located in our son's bedroom halfway up the hallway. And right behind that was the bathroom. And right where the tub was located in the bathroom. And then on the other side of the bathroom was our bedroom, and there was a closet right in line where the tub was. So the hot water heater in our son's room, it was behind the wall, and you never had access to it unless you took off a panel that was screwed in. So we hadn't, like, it wasn't like we could look in at it anytime we wanted to. You had to move a dryer and then take the panel off the wall. So anyway, the water heater had been leaking and we didn't realize it. And the mobile home we live in must be ever so slightly tilted down towards our bedroom end. And because the water had been slowly trickling out of it, rolling under the bathtub and out into our closet. And we didn't realize it until the water actually started to saturate in the rug around our bed. And so anyways, I don't know how long it had been leaking like that. And so it had became a significant leak by the time we had discovered it. So, and that's father came up and he was going to help me take the hot water heater out and put a new one in. So anyways, by that time, like I say, there was a lot of water on the floor. Like Bailey's bedroom, underneath the dryer was setting up on like a small wooden base, so it would bring it up high enough for where they put the dryer vent out through the side of the wall. And so we hadn't noticed the water under that, but once we moved all that stuff, like his floor was all saturated with water too. So anyway, we had cleaned out the room there so we could get room enough to take out the hot water heater and bring the new one in. So anyway, we had taken the panel off the side of the wall, and I had to lay down in the water. There was no other option there, and I was taking the cover off the front of the thing to check to see where it was leaking. If anybody knows what a hot water heater looks like, where the two elements are, there's these two covers that you unscrew, and once again, I hadn't shut the power off to the hot water heater because I was just going to be taking the covers off and didn't plan on touching anything electric. I was just going to be looking. So anyway, here I was laying in this puddle of water and electricity. Everybody knows where this is going. So I had unscrewed all the other screws on the cover. I think there was 4 onto it. As I was unscrewing the fourth screw on the cover, it slipped around after I loosened it up, and didn't it cross the points on the element of the thing? And man, when that crossed and I was laying in that water, I went to catch it because I didn't want it to fall, and I took my hand off the screwdriver to touch the plate that had slipped around, and when I did, man, there was so much electricity come through that it went, I could feel it go from my arm to zap with my elbow, and I literally thought that there was an exit wound. It hurt so bad, and I just like it even like almost rattled my teeth. It was so bad. And so wow, I laid back, and my father-in-law, he had an awful habit of when something was wet, or if anybody got a shocker, they said, a little heavy, was it? So anyway, I was like, heavy, all right. So, man, like I say, though, that was a bad one. I literally thought there must have been an exit wound coming out my elbow, because and I don't, maybe it made connection with the water, with my arm on the floor or something. Maybe that's why it felt so bad. But man, oh man, that was probably the worst shock I've ever had in my life, and even worse than the furnace one. But anyway, I just want to share those with you because I had been looking at my some of my older videos and seen where I had said that, so I wanted to fulfill my promise and tell the stories about the times I've been electrocuted. But anyway, since I told these in 3 different parts, and each one of them is probably, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes long, so this video's probably, by the time I get it edited, it'll be pretty long. So with that, I'm going to say, remember, if you can't laugh with me, laugh at me, but keep laughing. Have a nice day.